everyone, welcome to Animal Kingdom with Dr. Nicole. Today we are going to be learning about crested geckos. So now you may remember about a month ago or so we learned about leopard geckos, and just like I said in that video, that's one of the reasons why it's so important to know exactly what species you're getting and make sure you do the research on that particular species, because both leopard geckos and crested geckos are both reptiles, they're both lizards, and they're both geckos, but they're actually completely different. And the food you would feed them, and the enclosure, their temperatures, their humidities, where they even come from in the world, they're just totally different species. So again, like always, it's really important to do your research. Make sure you know exactly what you're doing for the specific species you're interested in. These do make great pets, and they're great pets for first-time reptile owners. They originally come from New Caledonia, which is a group of islands in the South Pacific, and they live in rainforests there. So when you have them in captivity, they like to live in trees, so they're tree-dwelling creatures. And so you'd have an enclosure like a reptile aquarium, and then you can put a lot of artificial trees or plants or even real plants in there for them to climb on and hide in. And then you make sure it's really humid. So in the rainforests are really humid. So we're talking like 50 to 70 degrees humidity, and it's really important for these geckos to have that kind of humidity as well, which is not the same as a leopard gecko. So for these ones, I recommend buying something called a hygrometer, which is a tool you can use to measure exactly what the humidity is in the enclosure. And oftentimes you need to mist them with water multiple times a day. So at least once a day, maybe up to 3 times a day, to make sure that the humidity in their environment is staying high and close to that 70%. Just to make them feel comfortable and then keep them healthy. If it drops too low, then they'll be less healthy. The other thing is that these ones eat more fruit. So remember how leopard geckos eat pretty much all insects. Crested geckos can eat insects as well, and you can certainly feed them insects, but they mostly eat fruit and nectar-based diets, and they're really great commercial diets available. So Rapashi crested gecko superfood mixture is a fully balanced diet. It's a powder that you can mix with water and feed it 3 times a week in a shallow dish. And it's also important to make sure they have water available to them to drink in a shallow dish all the time as well. But certainly you can supplement that by giving them some crickets or insects once a week as well, that again are dusted with vitamin supplements. And the really cool thing I wanted to point out with you guys is see how when you look at their eyes, see how it looks like they have these really cool, beautiful eyelashes? They actually don't have eyelids that blink. So the way they keep their eyes moist and remove any debris from their eye is to actually take their tongue. They have a really long tongue, and they can make their tongue go up to their eye, and that's what they use to make their eyes moist, to moisten their eye and to remove any debris. So I tried it myself at home, and my tongue doesn't reach that far. It goes, I can't quite get as far as a crested gecko can get. You guys can try yourself at home too, but I'm kind of thankful that we don't have to use our tongues to moisten our eyes. I think that's a little gross, but it's good for them, and it helps keep their eyes healthy. The other really cool thing about crested geckos compared to leopard geckos is they have these little tiny hairs on the bottom of their feet, which you can't really see very well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Nova, this is little Miss Nova, I'm going to put her on the side of her enclosure here. And what's interesting, oh, she's already crawling back up to me. What's interesting is that they stick to the side with those little hair projections. Isn't that so cool? They're like defying gravity with their anatomy. I love them. So interesting. All these little variations that makes each individual species so unique. I just love it. So that's the main things I wanted to tell you about crested geckos. They live to be about 15 to 20 years old. They're great first reptile pets. They're lovely. You don't need to even add outside heat source. They tend to live around room temperature, so anywhere from about 78 to 82 degrees. So unless it's winter and it's really cold in your house, you don't really need to add any external heat, any extra heat. You can just use normal room temperature. Certainly if it does get cold in your house, you would need an external heat source, but they're pretty easy, wonderful, sweet animals. So that's it for crested geckos today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.